I'm definitely not late, right? Okay, maybe I'm a little late. Let's start at the beginning. Hi y'all, I'm Subboy. For those that are new here, I'm a game developer who makes tiny little game projects and definitely doesn't have a game jam addiction. For those of you that are old here, I'm not made out of pixels. That's fun. Completely unrelated to that line of thought, last month, October in case I procrastinate on this video until December, I had the opportunity to join not just one, but two different game jams. The Scream Jam 2024 and the Cinti Spooky Jam. They were running at the same time, with the difference being that the Cinti Jam ran for a week longer. Hilariously enough, the Scream Jam was also sponsored by Cinti, so it was like I was joining two Cinti Jams. Now, as some of you may know, I'm a huge fan of the Cinti low poly asset style, as they're the main visual style of my space FPS roguelike game, so I was pretty eager to jump into this chance to make a game for the Cinti team itself. With both jams having no themes dictating what should be added into the game, I was kind of left alone in all choices except for genre. I've never participated in a game jam with this much freedom, so I was a bit lost when deciding what to do. Luckily, when I looked over the rules for the Cinti Jam, I read that I was required to use assets only from official Cinti asset packs. This thankfully narrowed down my options to 3D only. After looking through the different Cinti packs that I already owned, I stumbled across this one that I got from a Humble Bundle a while back and decided that it'd be perfect for what I wanted. I jumped right into planning by sitting down with my girlfriend and a notebook as we just discussed possible directions for the game to go in. After tossing around a few ideas, I brought up this 2-hour-long video essay I watched a while back about a Doom mod that used clever teleports to make you think that you were going crazy as things changed around you or didn't quite fit into the spaces that they were supposed to be in. Seriously, go check out MyHouse.wad by the way, it's amazing. After watching a playthrough of the mod, she was thoroughly on board with taking heavy inspiration from it, writing a story about an older man suffering through dementia, allowing us to create a map that freely changes around the player. So as she got started with writing out a story, I got to work putting together an art style that I liked. I decided that since Cinti is all about low poly assets, I would try and piece together an old PlayStation 1 style with a very low resolution display, no anti-aliasing, dithering, you know, the good stuff. Recreating a PS1 style actually isn't too difficult in Unity. The engine provides you with tools needed to take the camera display and render it out to a texture at any given resolution. So after I picked a small resolution that was close to an old CRT television, I got to adding this fancy PSX shader that I found on GitHub. This shader adds some of the more nostalgic parts of PS1 games, adding that vertex jitter so objects sit weird and look like they're morphing with camera movement, as well as locking the colors on the screen to a classic 128 color palette. Great! With that out of the way, it was time for me to start with the core feature of the game, the seamless teleport that would mess with your head as you move around. I watched a few tutorials. Firstly, this one on portals from Brackeys, and this much more math-focused one from Sebastian Leg. Log? Leg. Log. I borrowed the ideas necessary to put together this little test scene and sent it to a few friends to see how they felt. Once they all told me that it was icky, I knew I was heading in the right direction. The grosser the playtesters feel while playing, the better the overall vibes are going to be. My girlfriend handed me her notes on the story and the decision to do a day-by-day system, allowing us to build an air of familiarity before we pulled the rug, and I got to work on making a house map. I started with drawing out a blueprint in my notebook and then transferring that map to Sims 4 of all things. No need for professional architecture software if you have the world's best and most expensive 3D house modeling software known to man. After deciding that the map would look good and seeing all the spooks and scares we could sneak in, I moved into making the map in Unity itself. This part actually took me the greater part of the week, as the house needed to be fully furnished and decorated, as an empty house would actually just go against the feeling of an enclosed familiar space. This was my first time ever working on a project with this many moving parts in the background, so I had to heavily rely on notes and tools to make the world. I ended up building a ton of my own tools to trigger events and track where the player was. Some of the most useful tools I made was this script that universally let you pick up, place, and interact with objects using an event-based system. Anytime you'd interact with an object, it'd flag it as picked up or toggled, which would allow me to enable or disable whatever I needed at the time. The script itself definitely got a bit bloated, and if I had the chance to remake it I would. Definitely split up some of the functionality, as not every object needed to enable other objects or required you to be able to interact while holding a certain item. Unfortunately, as I worked on the map and the different tools required to make the game, I was running out of time faster than expected. So we had to go with not making half the plans we were originally going to add to the game, and instead I had to pivot. Instead of making a game around a heavy story with events and multiple endings, I had to go with a very linear single ending story with loose threads relating to the original written plan. But we had to completely drop our original story, and I ended up making an ending that was more open based on an old nightmare I used to have as a child. Things definitely started to feel more rushed and hectic as we approached the end of the jam. I was adding in multiple daily events, trigger zones, sounds, scares, and other fun little secrets into the house. Without spoiling any of the actual event of the game itself, I will gladly say I used a ton of that seamless teleport script. Unfortunately, once everything was said and done, the game itself just felt like a way too linear, confusing, poor man's MyHouse.wad. I'm still really proud of the work that I did on the project, and I still have all of my notes and plans for what I really wanted it to be. And hey, if you guys can get this video to 500 likes, impossible challenge, then not only will I go back and add the original multiple endings, as well as expanding the house, I will also release the game on Steam. The game is currently available to download on itch.io. The link will be available in the description. Go show the project some love, as well as share this video with your friends so we can know the game is worth finishing. As for the results of the game jams, I placed within the top 100 for aesthetics for the Scream Jam, and unfortunately I didn't win any of the categories for the Cinti Jam. All things considered, I'm super happy with the results of these jams, as I think this was the best game I've ever made, and I can't wait to continue making new ones. Anyway, share this video with your friends and like it. It'd be super cool to release a full version. Okay, thank you. Bye bye. Play the game. Okay, bye. Like the video. 500 likes and I release the full game. Bye.